All right, so this week I wound up beginning my lift on Tuesday. That's primarily because Monday I was still recovering from being sick. And you'll see here on Tuesday, March 25th, I wound up working up to a top set here, 1 rep max at approximately 455 pounds. Now, this is about 100 pounds shy of where I normally wind up deadlifting for my maxes. This definitely isn't a true all out 1 rep max. However, given that I just got off being sick and I'm still training quite a bit, I wound up deciding that I wind up just calling it there at 455 pounds. And then after that, since it wasn't the best max, or training max rather, um, I wound up saying, you know what, I'm going to modify my lift, do the smart thing, and just go ahead and pump out a few of these reverse hypers for me. Wound up doing the reverse hypers primarily because it's a movement pattern and an exercise I haven't been doing too often lately, and it was a lower body day for me, so I wanted to get some work done. And this wound up working out my hamstrings, my glutes, my posterior chain, um, pretty much all that. So I wound up calling it after doing 2 sets of these, just doing them for about 20 sets at about 90 pounds, trying to keep it somewhat strict, but still swinging just a little bit there. Uh, but yeah, I wound up calling it this day and said I'd wind up attacking my leg workout the next day, and that is what I wound up doing. After that day, the next day on Wednesday, March 26th, I wound up doing my warm-ups, I wound up doing my sled drag, and then I went right into my work that I would have done um, the day previous. I wound up doing good mornings here at similar strength with a safety bar, or safety squat bar. And I wound up doing 5 sets at 6 reps each at approximately 240 pounds. Now, I get 240 pounds because I believe, I'm not going to do the mental math right now, but I believe that this bar is about 70 or 80 pounds, whatever it is that adds up um, to 240 pounds there. But I'm very, very pleased with these. Been progressing on these about how I thought I would be. I'm getting deeper with each rep. Each set I'm feeling smoother and smoother, still not having knee pain while performing these. However, I did notice I was leaning a little bit. I don't know if that's because of the way the camera's angled. I don't know if that's because of my injury, if it's just because I'm not doing the motion pattern that often, but nevertheless, I did wind up noticing that. So I wound up zooming out for the next few lifts, and I wound up filming those as well, and we can also look at those too. But overall, this is a lower body staple of mine that I'm probably going to wind up keeping in my workout routine even after I'm done with running the programming that I'm currently on. With that said, I'm probably going to wind up keep pushing good mornings. I don't believe I'm overdoing this one that much, given that I'm only really doing it once a week. So yeah, this is going to be something that I keep progressing on, something that I'm able to keep as a staple. Of course, it helps with everything, everything from general, bodybuilding to get my legs bigger, all the way to me actively using my joints and my knee and putting load on them, as well as it has some carryover to my sport, um, both to grappling, MMA, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, whatnot. Basically, I'm in a position where I'll be in on a shot with my chest a little bit over my knees here. It happens whenever you're out of position sometimes, or in a scramble, or just whatever the circumstance is. But nevertheless, I'll be in that position quite frequently. So it's something that I'm definitely going to train so I can be prepared to push through. And given that my weight class is typically about 170 pounds, give or take, either a little below or a little above, um, I mean, this is more than enough weight to simulate somebody on top of me. Uh, Speaking of that, though, I still am cutting. I wound up weighing myself this week and finally made it to the 170s. More like the upper end of that. I'm hovering around 179, 182. But still, the cut's going pretty good. Still trying to see how low I can get um, without losing too much muscle here. But after doing those good mornings there, I wound up doing my pull-ups, and I wound up doing 5 sets total. For my first 3 sets, they were weighted. For my second, or my the last 2 sets, they were unweighted. I wound up weighting these at, I'm going to wind up saying this about 45 to 50 pounds. of chains around my neck, and I wound up getting 3 sets of 12 for all 3 of those weighted sets. And then for my 2 unweighted sets, I wound up getting 2 sets of 12 at body weight. I wound up primarily dropping down to just my body weight for the last 2 sets so I could focus on getting a more full range of motion. I found myself, especially on this last set here, you'll see weighted, I found myself not going quite as high nor going as deep. And you can see it right there. I'm holding back just a little bit so I don't get stuck at the bottom. So I did notice that, wound up adjusting accordingly so I could get a better range of motion, and that is precisely what I did. But yeah, I wound up doing these pull-ups here on my lower body day for a few reasons. It's a great way to sneak in some back work, and it also helps decompress my spine. Um, it's a great way for me to build grip strength, especially while I'm doing them on these fat grips right here. Um, it's just going to help me with with grip and grappling, help me with grip and MMA, and then of course I'm getting some bicep activation here as well. And that never hurts, especially if I'm trying to look bigger. And of course, it's going to be hitting my lats too. So can't really complain there with that. But overall, really enjoyed doing those pull-ups. They felt pretty good. I was happy with them. And then after that, you'll see here momentarily, I wound up doing my dumbbell jumps. So that's my explosive work that I did on this day. I wound up doing um, five sets of 1 at 20 pounds, and then 5 sets of 1 at body weight. We're mainly just going off a feel here. I know it's not the most accurate, but it's what I got right now. So you can tell here, though, especially with looking at the film here, that I am jumping. Pretty explosive here. I'm not getting too high, though. They are weighted, but I'm still learning or relearning how to jump here after my injury. It still hurts, especially on this descent a little bit, and it also hurts whenever when I explode up sometimes, but didn't have too much pain this day. You can definitely tell whenever I do land, though, I am compensating by catching most of my weight on one side. And that's just an effect of me trying to baby my knee. So that's something I'll be addressing and I'll be working through as the next few weeks progress. After I wound up doing my dumbbell jumps, though, I wound up hitting my abs. Just did some generic ab work here. Wound up doing 3 sets of hanging leg raises, and I wound up coupling this with some plate raises as well, which you'll see filmed in here in between. So yeah, for my hanging leg raises, again, did them on a fat grip bar, just trying to get that extra little bit of grip strength training in. And then I wound up doing 3 sets of 15 at body weight. They felt pretty good. They looked pretty good. Kept my legs relatively straight here. Not really too concerned with that little bit of bend that I have. It's primarily so whenever I swing my legs down, they don't hit the floor. But yeah, wound up doing this. Felt pretty good. Enjoyed it. Immediately after doing my first set, I was like, what the heck? Why not throw in something else here? So I wound up doing these plate raises. I wound up doing with 45 pounds, and they were pretty hard. They were pretty hard. I did notate that down, and it wasn't just something I was notating, it's also something I felt. So the next couple of days after this, my shoulders were pretty sore. Not just from this alone, but probably with some of the other exercises I'll discuss later that I was doing. And I wound up not filming my second hanging leg raises for whatever reason. I guess I didn't click the button right, but I wound up getting my second set of these front raises as well, and they were equally as hard. But yeah, still trying to figure out ways just to add in a little bit of extra volume whenever I can. So I thought I'd throw in some shoulder stuff since it's something that I do feel is lagging just a little bit. After I wound up doing both of those two workouts there, I wound up doing my leg extensions, and I did those at similar strength. And I believe, I know I have spoken on this before. I don't really particularly like doing my leg extensions or my leg curls at similar strength. I do prefer to do them over at Town Center Fitness, a different gym I go to. But instead of doing them later, I just went ahead and did them now. And I actually did wind up cutting out my leg curls. I wound up cutting out my leg curls so that I could really focus on these leg extensions and getting quality reps with them. I wound up doing 3 sets of 10 at 25 pounds per side, and as they normally do, they felt better as I progressed. So that's good, and my knees didn't feel too much pain. I will go ahead though and say that my left leg did feel much better. My left leg, it's definitely stronger than my right leg right now. So we're just going to keep doing this unilateral work here whenever we can too. So overall, felt pretty good with that. After completing this workout though, I wound up working out with my friend Riley later, actually over at Town Center Fitness. So I'll use this time while this is playing in the background to tell you a little bit about that workout. Use this a little bit as a way for me to both be social as well as a way for me to get in some quality work in some areas that I may not necessarily hit as much as I'd like right now, especially given the training frequency that I'm doing with grappling, with MMA, and all that. So I began my workout with Riley doing some tricep extensions. I just did those with a rope. I did 2 sets of 15 at 120 pounds. And then after that, I wound up doing some cable face pulls. I did some cable face pulls because primarily whenever I do face pulls, I'm doing them with a band. And the tension changes as I pull it further back. So I wanted to keep it constant. So I wound up doing 2 sets of 10 at 100 pounds. And I believe that's what helped get my shoulders sore as well. And if that didn't do it, the dumbbell shrugs that I did later and then the rear delt flies immediately after definitely did. So I wound up doing my dumbbell shrugs. I did 3 sets of 20 at 50 pounds. I did these at a mild intensity at best. Normally I'm doing about 100 plus pounds or I'm on dumbbells, or I'm going to wind up getting a barbell. And then after doing that, I wound up doing the rear delt flies. I did 3 sets of 10 at 30 pounds. After that, I did my single arm tricep extensions. For my first set, I wound up getting 7 at 80. And then for the second and third set, I wound up getting 7 reps each at 60 pounds. After that, I did some behind the back forearm curls. Just did 1 set of 25 at 95 pounds. Now, after I did all that, later in the day, I wound up doing some MMA. I went and sparred at a local gym here in Tallahassee, train, fight, win. Felt pretty good, but I was definitely tired, especially by the end of the day. Fatigue was catching up with me. But, some days you have better days than others, so I'm just going to take that as I was just training a lot that day and not eating too much. So it wasn't a bad day. It's just, it wasn't my best performance either. But after I wound up doing all that, I guess I got a good night's sleep. And then the next day I wound up hitting it hard again. So on March 27th, you'll see that in just a moment. I wound up starting my workout off doing some bike work. I did that for 5 minutes. Again, I did that primarily so I can help promote some blood flow and some regeneration effects here on my knee for my cartilage. And then after doing that, I did 5 minutes of mobility. And that's just me basically moving around, playing around for about 5 minutes, making sure I'm all warmed up, maybe doing a little bit of band work as well. And then I wound up doing my speed bench press, which you're seeing right here. I wound up doing 9 total sets. I did 3x3 at 125 or 120 pounds plus 125-pound chain on each side for close grip, and then I did 3x3 at 120 pounds with one chain on each side with 25 pounds in chain for normal grip, and then I did 3x3 again at 120 pounds with that chain on the side, each side there, weighing about 25 pounds each for wide grip. Now, you'll notice here I'm looking pretty violent, right, for the most part, but here towards the end I definitely do slow down just a bit. So I believe on the last one I actually wound up pausing a little bit so I can make sure I'm exploding up out of the hole. And let's see if that's actually what we did. Yep, that is what I tried to do. So overall, felt pretty good with those. I like doing them. And of course, this is one of the few movements that I'm doing for my upper body right now that's explosive. So I'm trying to get everything out of it that I can. Now, after I wound up doing the speed bench press, I wound up doing dumbbell incline, which you're seeing here. Dumbbell incline is one of my favorite exercises to do for the upper body. For a lot of reasons, it's a compound movement. It's involving a lot of joints, and we're moving a lot of weight. It makes me feel good. It gives me quite a good pump, and it winds up growing both my chest. It winds up growing my delts. It winds up growing my arms. I feel a good stretch, so it's something I'm going to keep pushing for a while. Something I'm going to definitely keep trying to work on. And I wound up getting 3 sets of 6 reps each at 90 pounds. And overall, I know to you that they felt pretty good, but I definitely had some issues starting out here, and that's what I'm including in a lot of this film here. You'll see me actually as I get set up for this. My first set's pretty bad for all these reps. I'm not the best at figuring out how to get settled into the weight here just yet. I actually wound up noticing I believe between this set and the next set, I wound up noticing that the back was swaying a little bit, like I could move it almost. So I don't know if that was a part of the issue. I don't know if it's just an awkward angle. I'm not quite sure, but for whatever reason, I was having a little bit of trouble starting out my first rep for each of these sets. But after that, felt pretty good. The only thing I was really concerned about was making sure I don't go too deep whenever I go down with the weights so I don't get stuck because we're moving a lot of weight here. But that's what I'm talking about right there. Kind of where I'm having to pop my butt up a little bit and really press into the back of this bench so that I can really get the weights up and moving. But you'll notice I don't have to do that for the rest of the other sets, so it's not really something I'm too concerned with right now, but it is something I thought I'd address and talk about. But overall, it felt pretty good. I enjoyed doing it, and this is something I'm going to continue to progress on in the future. Now, after that, I wound up doing my dumbbell rows. I wound up doing 3 sets of 12 of those as well at 100 pounds, and 100 pounds is where the dumbbells max out here over at Town Center Fitness. So I'm working with what I got. Once I get up to the 15 to 20 rep range, I think is when I really will need to address something different here, or working out at a different gym, which is like similar strength. You know, they got higher dumbbells over there, but for right now, this suffices. And then after that, I wound up cutting out the arm work so that I could wind up doing BJJ later and then some MMA as well. So instead of just completely cutting it out, though, I didn't film it, but I did 200 total reps with some black band tricep extensions. Grinded those out so I could get a good pump in my arms. After that, I wound up doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the gi over at Positive Balance for an hour, and then I did 2 hours at MMA over at my club, Outsiders MMA. And then on March 28th, I wound up doing an hour of BJJ no gi. I just did 1 hour of that, and that was today. So with all that being said, that's pretty much my week now. Tomorrow I'm working a double shift serving, and then I work again as well on Sunday. So I don't believe I'm going to be doing too much working out this weekend. If I do, whatever I do will be notated in the next video coming out. Uh, but yeah, overall, this was a good week. I'm getting ready to start writing my next workout for the next coming month. The cut's still going well. I already talked about how I'm weighing about 179 to 182 pounds right now. I'm leaning out. My legs, my legs are staying pretty strong, and I'm actually rehabilitating my right leg still. So that's all looking good and feeling good. My upper body's doing great. I feel like I'm starting to lean out quite a bit here, which is something that I'm looking forward to, seeing how shredded I can get. My shoulders are capping. They're looking good right now. Been going for some runs every now and then. I know I didn't really do it this week, but in the few weeks prior, I've been doing my runs, and that's something I'm going to have to catch up on this upcoming week. But overall, great workout, great lifts. Been doing good in training. Just really looking forward to the future, especially with how it's all going to play out. See how see where my body can go, and just how much weight I can wind up losing and feeling healthy, and seeing how my knee is able to um, basically heal. So with all that said, I'm gonna let this play out, and until next time, bye bye.